Okay, this is my first ever live stream, and as you can see by the title, I will be going over and analyzing yesterday's wildcard game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, as a Raven fan, last night's game absolutely pained me and hurt. Um, I was angry about the loss. Especially because of who we lost to, because there's bad blood between the Ravens and the Bengals, and they don't like us, we don't like them, and worse, my brother's a Bengal fan, so it's gonna be a rough off season for that. But I'm not. But I'm gonna talk about the game in general. Um, I don't know how the sound quality is. I hope it sounds good. This is the first time I've really done something like this, but there's a few things I want to touch on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Um, for overall, I'm not fully mad about the team performance. Considering the fact that we didn't have we didn't have Lamar Jackson, we don't have our two wide receiver, one or two. Um, you know, a lot of people thought the Bengals were going to roll over us, and I knew that was not going to happen. So, and I'm sorry if I stutter or say I'm not reading off any real script, besides the few notes I have on my phone. So, I'm going to start off with the offense itself. First off, Tyler Huntley. After the first interception he threw, which was backbreaking, because it led to the Bengals' first touchdown, which is the exact reason we lost last week's game, he had a pretty good game throwing the ball. He threw 2 touchdowns. He was 17 for 29, 226 yards. So Tyler Huntley had a decent game, in my opinion. I'm not going to say he really missed anything big besides the one interception he threw. So, in general, I think Huntley had a pretty good game. For his standards, being this his first playoff start and he didn't play last week with the shoulder, I thought Huntley had a pretty good game. Rushing is where I'm going to get on. This is where I get frustrated. You sent J.K. Dobbins out last week, so you think, okay, we're going to run the offensive line through him last night. He had 13 carries for 62 yards. Gus Edwards had 12 for 59, and Huntley had 9 for 54. There is no excuse for the lack of usage for J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I'm going to get to J.K. Dobbins later because it's Dobbins where I'm really, really upset here. Receiving, you're not really expecting much from the Ravens. Pass catches, besides really Mark Andrews, 5 catches for 73 yards. DeMarcus Robinson, 2 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown where he routed Eli Apple. J.K. Dobbins had 4 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Oliver had 2 catches, for one of which was a big saver by Huntley. Gus Edwards had a catch, and Sammy Watkins had 1 catch. Justin Hill had 2 catches. So, what we expected out of our pass catch, we really got. Mainly Mark Andrews. My question is this. Was Isaiah Likely even on the field yesterday? Because didn't have 1 catch. I didn't even see him yesterday. Isaiah Likely came off a game in which he had over 100 receiving yards against the Bengals. You don't use him? That's just idiotic. And speaking of idiotic, I'm going to get to him later. Now, the Ravens defense, I thought, had an incredible game. Incredible isn't the right word. They had a very good game. In 3 games this season against Cincinnati, the Ravens held the Bengals to 17 points twice and 20 points. The Ravens saw what Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense did to them last year in both games. And Eric DeCosta and Mike McDonald said, okay, we're building this defense for the Bengals. And all 3 games proved that. Joe Burrow was 23 for 32, 209 yards, 1 touchdown. And Joe Mixon had 11 catches for 39 yards. 11 rushes for 39 yards. Joe Burrow had, nothing else really. So my DP round only ran twice. Joe Burrow ran a touchdown from the 1-yard line. And the Bengals pass catches outside Jamar Chase was solid. And even Jamar Chase, he had 9 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. It's Jamar Chase. Hayden Hurst had 4 catches, 45 yards, and he lost a fumble. T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, on the other hand, combined for 7 catches for 53 yards. I'm sorry. No, I'm not 53. 63 yards. Because T. Higgins had 4 catches for 37. Tyler Boyd had 3 for 26. So the Ravens defense pretty much shut down the Bengals passing attack. After the Bengals' first drive of the third quarter, they did not get another first down for the rest of the game. That's kudos to Mike McDonald and that Ravens defense. And the worst thing about this game is I said going to this game, the Ravens had to do certain things. It was certain things Ravens had to do. They had to, one, take advantage of the fact that the Bengals' right side of the O-line was injured, and they did that. And worse, they lost that left tackle before halftime. So the Ravens got 4 sacks on Joe Burrow, and obviously the Bengals were not going to run the ball. We knew that. So they sacked Joe Burrow 4 times. Good job. I said the Ravens had to limit the big plays, and really, they didn't give up anything up top, as in no big, deep shots. That's why Jamar Chase only had 84 yards. So that's good right there. So the Ravens did the things on defense they needed to do. Now, the problem is I also said offensively, the Ravens had to, one, run through Gus Evans and J.K. Dobbins, two, protect the ball, which the 2 turnovers in this game is what cost us, especially the one in the fourth quarter. And I said 3, they had to run through their tight ends, which outside of Mark Andrews, they did not do. Special teams, there's not really much to talk about. Justin Tucker hit his the 1 field goal he got. He got his 2 extra points. The only first down the Bengals got after that last touchdown drive was a roughing the punter penalty on the Ravens, which the Ravens still got forced to punt right after, so it didn't matter. But I want to talk about a couple things. What I really want to get on in this post game analysis is, one, usage of J.K. Dobbins. Now, I've been frustrated about the usage of J.K. Dobbins for especially we start with the Browns game. The Browns had the worst run defense in the league, and you barely run the ball with Gus and J.K. So I'm thinking, okay, the Ravens sat J.K. last week for rest. They're gonna run through him today. Then he finished with he only had 13 carries, 62 yards. And what's worse is the Ravens did not give J.K. a handoff one time in the red zone. In my opinion, the two problems the Ravens had in the red zone. They get to at the very end of the first half, the Ravens are down 7-9. They're at the 4-yard line with about 20 seconds left. They have a timeout. This is important. And not one time did we run the ball. If we were out of timeouts, that made sense. But we had a timeout, and neither Gus nor JK got the ball one time. That doesn't make any sense to me. And, of course, we don't score because our red zone offense already is trash, and we try to throw the ball 3 times. Makes no sense. So we settled for 3. But then, the play of the game. Tyler Huntley has like a 40-yard run. The score 17-17 in the fourth quarter. Huntley has a 40-something yard run to the 3-yard line. I'm thinking, okay, we can either we want a touchdown, we at least can get a field goal. First play, Greg Roman, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to get to him, calls of course he has to do it, a pass to Pat Ricard, which, as much as I don't like it, if Huntley put the ball where it needed to be, it likely would have been a touchdown. Second play, mind you, they're on the 3-yard line, or the 4-yard line, 1 or 2. Hand the ball up to Gus, and if Von Bell did not make a great tackle, Gus would have probably made it in the end zone, but they were able to stuff him. Now it's 3rd and goal at the 2-yard line. And you call a QB sneak, which I disagree with. And instead of having, now, this is both on Huntley, but I think it's also on Greg Roman for calling it, having Huntley go low to protect the ball. Mind you, you're at the 2-yard line. Or if you're not, you're at a long 1 yard. This isn't an inch situation. You have Huntley try to jump over the line, puts the ball out, and what happens? Ball gets knocked out of his hands, somehow falls into Sam Hubbard's hands. He takes it 98 yards for a touchdown. And that was the moment I knew we were going to probably lose the game. The worst thing in that play in general, I was so angry at Greg Roman. And I can say, well, Huntley shouldn't have done that. Why do you not run the ball with J.K. Dobbins? We had 2 touchdowns today. One was a 40-something yard touchdown pass from Huntley to Demarcus Robinson. Demarcus Robinson put a great route on Eli Apple to get open for the touchdown. Great. The other touchdown in the first half was a pass to J.K. Dobbins, which really should have been short. J.K. Dobbins had to stretch and barely got the ball to break the plane. J.K. Dobbins is your number 1 running back. You get the ball inside the 4-yard line twice, and you don't run the ball with him one time. That, to me, is why lots of fans, myself included, cannot stand Greg Roman. You are the only good thing, Greg Roman, you're good at is running the ball. You're a good run game coordinator. And despite that, you don't get the ball to your number one running back one time in the red zone. And not in the red zone, inside the 5-yard line. Gus had, I believe, 3 runs inside the 5, but seriously. And why is J.K. Dobbins interview in the locker room after the game? He was pissed off, and he had every right to be. And the worst thing, and what makes the game worse is that game turned on that fumble for a touchdown. Because not only because of the only Bengals touchdown, the last touchdown score, so of course it mattered because it's technically the game winner. But if you look at the stats for this game, the Ravens dominated time possession. They had more yards than the Bengals. They had more passing yards, obviously more rushing yards, more first downs, less penalties. They had more sacks, ran more plays. The Ravens lost this game off off that one turnover. And I said the Ravens had to protect the ball today. They lost a turnover about 2-1. Just like what happened last week, the turnovers would cost us, and that fumble in general. And that's where I'm going to get on John Harbaugh. We're on our last drive. There's a minute left. We have 2 timeouts, or was it 1 timeout? Regardless. And you had the guys huddling up for 30 seconds, wasting all the time. First off, on Roman, there's no excuse for us being in the huddle that long. There's no excuse for that. You need to have 1 or 2 plays ready for these situations. No, you're huddling up with 30 seconds left, knowing you're down 7 with a minute left. And John Harbaugh, if you see the time it's taking forever, why are you not calling timeout? That doesn't make any sense to me either. So, in my opinion, I have a friend of mine wanted me to touch on coaching, which, to his credit, as much like Roman called a good first half until that last, 20 seconds inside the 4, and Harbaugh not managing the clock again. I'm not calling for John Harbaugh's job. I'm not. It might be time for a change, but I don't think it's going to be with him because. He and DeCosta close. He and Steve Bisciotti have a relationship. I don't think Harbaugh's gone. But last night better have been the last time Greg Roman's in the Ravens organization. The fact that you don't run the ball with Gus and J.K. enough. J.K. Dobbins has been with the Ravens for 3 seasons. Yes, he missed a season, 2 seasons. He's never had 17 carries in the game. Games when you should be running the ball, you don't with him. Against the Browns a couple weeks ago, they had the worst run defense in the league, and you barely run the ball with them. And last night, you're inside the 4-yard line twice. You don't run the ball 1 time with them. There's no excuse for that. Listen, I understand why receivers are frustrated in a Greg Roman system because Greg Roman systems are not designed for receivers. But if a running back is complaining about a system that's supposed to be about running the ball, we have a problem there. John Harbaugh. You are not policing Greg Roman enough. You are the head coach. You're not calling your timeouts when you should. You're not getting your players in. There's no reason Gus and JK are alternating play to play. It was at one point, I think in the second or third quarter, where Gus will run the ball, he goes out, JK comes in. Same thing. Like that, you can't get a rhythm like that. So I'm angry at the coach and Greg Roman because you don't run through J.K. and Gus enough. And Huntley had a good game. But at the same time, you know Huntley's a backup. You know you have a terrible wide receiving core. And outside of Mark Andrews, you don't have anyone reliable who can catch the ball. Cincinnati is a good run defense. And they still couldn't stop our run attack. And when you should have ran the ball the most with your running backs, you don't. There's no excuse for that. John Harbaugh, the fact that you let the clock run down, this is an indictment on you as well. Coaching, that's a problem. Use of J.K. Dobbins is also a problem. And I'm not going to get into the offseason stuff here. I might say that for a separate stream or a separate video or whatever. But you don't use J.K. Dobbins enough. And J.K. Dobbins is frustrated. He even said after the game, Huntley should have been in that position. I should have gotten the ball. And that doesn't come off as him being selfish. It comes off him being logical. I'm the number one running back on the team. We're inside the 4-yard line twice, and I don't get one run. The only time he got the ball was a pass that he scored on, and it's not because Huntley did anything. It's because JK got the ball into the end zone. And that QB sneak that led to the fumble, it felt similar to the pick six Lamar threw against the Bills in the playoffs 2 years ago. Because we were a play away from tying that game up, and really the play before should have been a touchdown, but Tyree Fields and J.K. Dobbins let Lamar get rushed when he had Hollywood wide open. But I think this one hurts even more. Because that pick six against the Bills, we were down 7. The last night's game, we were on the 3-yard line, the 2-yard line, with a game tied. And it was a freak accident. I get that. The ball not only did get knocked out of Tyler Huntley's hand, the ball literally landed right in Sam Hubbard's hand, and he takes off 98 yards. And credit to Mark Andrews, because he almost got him, and that was blocking the back, but you're not going to get that call. I understand that. The officiating, I didn't really have many problems with the officiating. There were a couple of calls that were ticky-tacky, but nothing that I would say, oh, that was a bad call. Like I said, I felt Mark Andrews was blocking the back, but you're not getting that call. The 2-point conversion that the Bengals ran on that play with T. Higgins and Marcus Peters, I do not think that was pass interference. That looked like regular hand fighting that both were engaged in. I don't think that was pass interference, but that happens. I don't think... Okay, the taunting penalty on Marcus Peters. Literally, the play before, J.K. Dobbins literally flexes in front of Marcus Peters, and the refs don't call anything. But they call a taunting penalty on Marcus Peters on the next play. Now, to the rest, I'll admit this. Marcus Peters did punch Joe Mixon on the ground, which he could have been thrown out for that. But thankfully, he didn't. Individual defensive players, no one really had a bad game. Marlon Humphrey, his problem was not necessarily coverage. It was the fact that we ran a lot of zone, and that's really how he kept getting catches on him. Marcus Peters' problem was actually man coverage. Kyle Hamilton forcing the fumble on Hayden Hurst, which was big play. Getting 4 sacks, that's great. Especially because we did a lot of it without blitzing. You can only hope we can build on that next season. But I can't lie, man. This really sucks because we should have won last night. The fact that you can make a case the Ravens dominated on all facets of the ball last night. They outgained the Bengals in yards. They shut down their run attack, which I said was going to happen. The Bengals really couldn't stop the Ravens' run attack. The Ravens ran for over 150 yards, I think. But it's the little things. It's the shooting yourselves in the foot, and it's happened all season. I can say every single loss the Ravens had this season, from the Dolphins game all up to last night, the Ravens shot themselves in the foot. And this is why I get on John Harbaugh and the coaching again. When it keeps happening, it's a trend. Like I said, I'm not calling for John Harbaugh's job. But if he cannot see the problem that is Greg Roman, then he has to go. Don't get twisted. I love Harbaugh. Since I've been following the Ravens religiously, I'm 22. I'll be 23 in 2 months. John Harbaugh is really the only Ravens coach I've ever really known. But things had to change in this coaching staff and the front office has to see this. I don't know if it's Acosta, I don't know if it's Bisciotti, but something has to change. Last night should have been the Ravens win. But literally one play was a difference maker. And that's how playoff football works. Football is a game of inches, and it comes down to 1 or 2 plays. And unfortunately, one play hurt the Ravens. But that's all I got to say about that. Much as it sickens me, I got to say congratulations to Cincinnati Bengals. You beat us fair and square. I don't think you were the better team because I honestly think the Ravens did outplay the Bengals. But a win is a win, a loss is a loss. And they're moving on, and we aren't because of simple mistakes that we made. Anyway, I'm Kyron Chase. I will see you guys next time.